Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So in this video, I want to give you a rundown of how my stock market portfolio performed in 2020, and then I'm going to share my thoughts on what 2021 and beyond holds for investors in stocks. So this is the calculator I use to determine what my annual return is. And through December 31st, 2020, the year-to-date return is 38.5%. So that is my returns for the year of 2020 in my stock market portfolio. I made 38.5%, which outperformed the S&P 500 by a pretty good amount. So if we take a look at what the S&P 500 index did in 2020, which is mainly what I'm trying to outperform, the index finished with a gain of 16.26% for the year. So it was an outstanding year for the stock market as a whole. It's not very often that the stock market goes up more than 15% in a year. But again, if you know what you're doing, if you know how to analyze stocks and find undervalued companies, then it's very doable to outperform the market. So my portfolio gained 38.5% this year, and that was with a lot of my portfolio in cash for much of the year. I would say for most of 2020, 40 to 50% of my portfolio was in cash. And so I feel very good about these returns, knowing that I still have that cash buffer to use if we do see a large drop in stock prices. I've been keeping track of my performance since the middle of 2019, the end of May 2019, and my annual compounded return just in that short time period is 53.9%. So obviously such a small sample size of not even 2 years doesn't really mean anything, but I'm hoping to document my progress as the years progress to be able to show how it is possible to outperform the stock market on a regular basis. So now we can take a look at what my portfolio looks like right now as of January 3rd, 2020. And not really much has changed. If you're someone that follows my channel, it's going to be all the normal names. Where we still have cash now making up 20% of the portfolio, and that is because of a new position I entered. Banco ZK is still the largest with around a 20% stake, Cumulus Media 17%, and then the new position I started was in a company called Maiden Holdings, and I actually invested in their preferred shares as opposed to the common stock. So I know I said I would make a video on them a while back. I haven't gotten around to it, but I absolutely will get that video out this week. And so that is another company that I am excited to make a video about. And then going down the list again, we have Sprott at 13%, Altisource at 6.5%, Contour Energy, which is one of my speculative investments, at 4%, and then a tiny position of Geo Group call options that expire in 2022. So this is my portfolio. The main themes are I like to have most of my portfolio concentrated in a small number of names that I am extremely confident about. I think that gives myself the best chance of earning higher returns in the stock market as opposed to spreading out my capital and owning 20, 30, 40 different stocks at a time. I like to concentrate my portfolio into the names that I'm most confident in. Another theme of my portfolio is that a lot of these are just boring names. My largest holding is a bank, then there's a radio company, then Maiden Holdings, which is an insurance company, Sprott, which is an asset manager. So I don't own any of these tech stocks that have done so well in 2020. I don't own Tesla. I don't even own companies like Apple or Facebook. And that is simply because I can't justify owning those businesses at the current prices. Even though they're some of the best businesses in the world, the valuation just doesn't make sense for me to put my money into them. And as an investor with a contrarian mindset, I usually stay away from the names that are on everyone's radar, like the stocks that are being talked about all the time on CNBC. Most of the time I'm not going to be invested in those names because when everyone's talking about them, that usually means they're overhyped, and with that comes the overpricing that happens so often with popular stocks. So that is the update on my stock portfolio. Leave a like on this video if you've been following me through 2020 and following my investments to see how they performed, and even if you invested in some of those names yourself, I really appreciate it. And in the past year, this channel has grown so much. We're almost at 30,000 subscribers, so thank you so much, and I'm hoping to pass that mark soon. So now with my portfolio out of the way, I'm going to show you two things that I expect to happen in 2021 and beyond. So the first thing I'm going to address is what the stock market's going to do in 2021. Now, obviously, it's no surprise that I'm bearish on the stock market. I made a bunch of videos, stock market's going to crash. But the truth is, I don't know if that's going to happen in 2021 since I have no crystal ball. But it's very possible that stocks just keep going up as this mania continues. But I do think there is a specific thing that will happen. And what I think will happen is that the stock market will lose value priced in gold. And I'll break that down because there's a couple parts to that. So on this chart right now is the S&P 500, and then the orange line is the price of gold. And so if you take a look at this, since 2017, even though gold and the stock market don't usually move in the same direction, they have performed about evenly in the past 3 to 4 years. And so I think there's a couple things that could happen this year in 2021. I think we definitely could see a crash in the stock market at all-time high valuations in the type of euphoria we're seeing right now. That would not surprise me at all. But on the flip side, if the stock market does continue to go up, I still expect gold to outperform the stock market, because with all the quantitative easing we've been doing, that generally is very good for gold. And I also think in 2021, we're going to see some sort of increase in inflation. Now, I don't know if this is going to show up in the CPI or not. I made videos talking about the consumer price index and how it doesn't really truly represent what's going on in terms of inflation. And I think there's definitely areas where inflation is already happening. But I do think because of this, gold is going to have a very strong number of years going forward from here. And I do think for the next few years, gold will outperform the stock market, regardless of stocks keep going up, stay flat, or crash down. Now, here's the second thing that I think probably won't happen in 2021, but I think over the next decade, this will definitely happen. And this is that the largest market cap stocks that we know now, all the FANG stocks, the tech stocks, I don't think they will be as dominant as they are now going forward 5 to 10 years from now. And up on the screen now, I have a report from Research Affiliates. I made a whole video going through this report. I'll put a card up to it right now. I think it's one of my more valuable videos on this channel, so you should definitely check it out. But the main point of this report is whenever we see an industry with a small number of companies dominating the market, where you take a look at the largest companies in the stock market and it's all one type of company, usually that doesn't last forever. And this graphic shows you just that, how often this list changes. So this is a list of the 10 largest market cap companies by year, and you can see how drastically it changed. From 2010, you had companies like PetroChina, ExxonMobil, Walmart, China Construction Bank. Some of these names you don't even know what they are now. And if you jump ahead a few years to 2013, you have Apple, you have Samsung, Royal Dutch Shell, and then in 2017, you start to see what it currently looks like now, where you have Apple, Google, Microsoft, Berkshire Hathaway. You still have ExxonMobil, General Electric, and Wells Fargo, which are no longer on there. And so you take a look at 2019, and now this list is dominated by tech stocks, right? You have the FANG stocks, you have Microsoft, Tencent, and Alibaba. But I think in the next decade, this is going to change in a big way. I no longer think that the largest companies in the United States are going to be these tech stocks. Instead, what I think is going to happen is we're going to see a huge rise in the price of a number of natural resources and commodities like gold and silver. And I think these companies will replace the tech stocks as some of the largest companies in the United States. Even though that may seem absurd now, just a few years ago in 2013, almost 3 or 4 of the names on this list were oil companies. And so I think this is going to be a decade where the prices of natural resources go up a lot, have a very large increase. We're already seeing that now with things like the price of lumber, which has just been going straight up really for the last 6 months. And I've also talked about how undervalued commodities are compared to the stock market. I'll throw a picture of that chart up right now. And I think sometime in this decade, that's going to change. We're going to see a huge run in commodities, and the companies that manufacture and use those commodities are going to be the biggest beneficiaries from that, and as a result will become some of the largest companies by market cap. So I don't think that's going to happen in the next 6 months or a year, probably 2 or 3 years, but I think looking out 5 to 10 years, I think there is a good chance of that happening. So that's all I wanted to talk about in this video, show you my 2020 performance for my stock portfolio, and then giving you some of my thoughts on the stock market going forward from here. Definitely let me know down in the comments what you think about these thoughts. Do you think gold will outperform the stock market going forward? And do you think the tech stocks will stay the largest companies in the United States for the next decade? Always interested to see what you have to think, and as always, I could be wrong, so tell me what you think down in the comments. If you found value out of this video, be sure to hit the like button. It really helps out my channel. If this is your first time here, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of my new videos. So that's it for now, and I will see you next time.